Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Dating Made Simple on the Irresistible podcast. I'm your host, Tom Robinson, and sitting right across from me, my co-host, Bob Walls.
Tom, it's great to be here.
Nice
It's a
to
great
see
day.
you.
It's a great day in the studio.
Nice
It's good
to
to be
see
here.
you.
There's a vibe going on in the studio today. Can you feel it?
Oh, is
You
there?
can feel that,
There's
can't
a
you?
vibe, huh?
You
Yeah.
can
It's a
feel the
vibey
vibe
day.
here. Something exciting is going to happen
You know,
today.
and all of our listeners know
tell.
that voice.
Which voice?
That's
My
Macy.
voice or Macy's
It's
voice?
Macy.
Oh, guys,
Because
I'm
Macy's
back
here with us, and
again.
so is
Back,
Sophia.
Macy.
Sophia, let's hear your voice. What voice is it that they know?
That's me. It's good
I
to be back,
think it's
guys.
Sophia's voice that
The whole-
everybody
The whole
knows.
family is here today.
Yeah, so this
Yep.
is so fun. We're all together
Yeah.
again. It's
And
just
we-
a reunion.
And we have a great guest today.
Yes,
I'm
all
so
of us,
great.
and a guest who actually knows some
Yeah,
stuff.
she's very smart.
How
and
exciting.
It's Erika Ettin. Erika is and she's a no-nonsense dating coach.
Well, as she
Which-
should be.
Which
As
all
she
of our
should.
listeners need to
There
hear
it
that.
is, the no-nonsense part.
And she's the founder of alittle-nudge.com.
A little nudge.
Amazing website. Amazing.
Yeah,
You gotta-
that's-
she also does the A Little Nudge on Instagram.
Right.
It's absolutely fabulous. Welcome, Erika.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, we're so
Wow.
excited to have you.
Yes.
And she's in New York City.
Well, she's in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I shouldn't say New
Brooklyn,
York
you
City.
know.
It counts
So-
as New York.
It's close enough. You know, it's a
So-
little subway ride, and you're right there.
Yeah.
you
So
know?
how long
Why
have
not?
you been working as a dating coach?
12 and a half years.
Wow.
My word.
Yeah. I used to work in finance and I quit my job in 2011 to start helping people with
Well-
online dating.
Yeah.
Wow.
What caused you to do that?
Well, so I was a really early adopter of online dating.
Mhm.
Embarrassingly early. I started in 2001 when nobody did it.
Oh,
I know.
MySpace kind of dating, or
There are a few dating sites out. I mean, Match.com
Okay.
actually came out in the mid 90s, believe it
Wow.
or not.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this seems cool. You know, what did I know? I've always liked technology. And so I started, dabbling. And then because of my background in economics and because I'm a nerd, I started a spreadsheet of my own online dating stuff. Initially, I started the spreadsheet so I didn't accidentally write to the same person twice.
Why?
Oops. I hate it when that happens.
No,
You know.
well, you needed a screen name at the time. So you wouldn't
Yeah.
That's
use,
right.
like, Erica. You would use Sassy Girl New York or whatever.
Mhm.
Just for example.
Right.
Hypothetical.
not saying-
Not saying that that's what you did, sassy girl from New York, but I like it.
So now that I had the spreadsheet, I thought to myself, I can actually do things in here. So if I write to somebody, what's the probability he writes back? And then if he does, what's the probability we're going to go on a date?
Wow.
And I made little tweaks here and there, like different lengths of messages and profiles and asked questions. And I increased both my response rate and my conversion rate. And then my friends started asking me, like, what are you doing that I'm not? It's not going well for you. So I started helping them, writing their profiles. I've always loved writing and working with people. I wasn't getting to do what I loved. So I turned it into a business.
Wow,
cool.
she did this through trial and
That's great.
error.
Well,
Did.
and I love the name, A Little Nudge.
Yes, I do too.
you.
That's
Very
I just
clever.
think that's very clever.
Sassy girl, nudge. I think you were right going with the little nudge. I think
I-
it was a good.
It was the first name I came up with for the business, and it was the only one I wanted. And someone had the URL, and I
Oh,
didn't know what to do. And so you could search just public record who owns, domains
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
So I just emailed this guy. I'm like, hello, I'm a nice girl who wants to start a business.
Mhm.
Tell me your domain, and he did.
Really?
Wow, great.
Wow.
That is usually because they try to gouge you on that stuff. They say, "Yeah, for $1 million, I'll sell it to
We
you."
Right.
negotiated. He asked for 1,000. I said, how about 100? And we settled on 200.
Wow,
There you go.
you were on Wall
That
Street,
was a
weren't you?
steal.
They need
Goodness.
you back on Wall Street.
So, Erica, I want to ask you. I was going through your Instagram and looking at a lot of really amazing stuff, and I came across the acronym NATO, NATO, and this stands for Not Attracted to Outcome. I really want you to start here because I think a lot of our listeners concentrate on this way too much, and I just loved your simplicity of talking about this idea of looking too forward out into outcomes. Can you tell us about this idea?
Yeah, so we're not talking about treaty organizations. So many people I work with, and just people in general, I'm sure people too, will go on a date and they put so much expectation into that first date that it has to mean something, that they have to evaluate this person on whether it's going to be a life partner. It's just a stranger you're having a drink with or a coffee or whatever you're doing, taking a walk with on that first date. And so I came up with the acronym not attached to outcome because it puts it concisely how I want people to date, which is to go in and be open to any outcome that fits. So, too often you go on a date and let's say you want to get married. You're seeing this person sitting across from you for the first time and you're thinking, okay, end goal, marriage. Can I backfill this stranger I've never met into this person? And if it doesn't work out, then it all was a failure. But that's not how I recommend dating. I'd rather you start at point A and see what happens. See if you enjoy each other's company.
Love it.
Maybe this is going to be a business contact, maybe a friend, maybe you'll date for 3 months. Who knows? None of that is a failure. It's all just different outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
I do too, and it's so much needed in among our listeners because we've gotten advice from others to say you should look at every person you meet as your potential spouse, and when you
stressful.
Isn't it
Right.
stressful? I hate it.
and when you do it that way, it makes you ignore all the red flags that you shouldn't ignore because you're just looking for a spouse. You're not looking for
Well, and
a
all the
partner
fun and all the fun
and
stuff.
all the fun. But it's no wonder that some people end up in relationships that are not productive because they're too focused on finding a husband or a wife and not finding a friend that they're compatible with.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
And the
it's-
only
it's-
criteria for a first date should be, do I want to go on a second date with this
Oh,
person?
yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all
Man,
there is.
you are so
She's
smart.
so
We just
smart.
gotta-
I love it when people say the same things that we say in different ways
Yeah.
because she's really smart. And it makes us actually
Yeah,
sound like
this
we know
this
what we're
is great.
talking about.
Because that's really
It's
what
a
we
great start
do.
to me. So,
That's what this
Wow.
podcast is really all about. Is just go on a date, just talk to someone, just sit and talk and see what you have in common. And if nothing else, you've talked to someone for an
Right.
hour, you made a friend, and then
Right.
see if there's a connection that you can go on to a second date. And that's why I love this idea of NATO so much.
Like baby steps.
Right.
Like just looking just directly ahead and not
Mm.
like my whole life ahead.
Well, exactly. And it's like, so I work with clients, and we can talk more later about like exactly what I do. But let's say I work with a client for 3 months, and let's say I'm setting them up on dates. And let's say in those 3 months, let's say they go on 10 dates. I don't know, I'm making that up. If they connect with them, great. Sometimes they'll go on 10 dates and, maybe some will get to a second date or a third, but most will not. I had clients say to me at the end of that 3-month period, well, I didn't meet my, I'm not in a committed relationship. It's a failure. And I actually take offense to that. 'Cause I'm like, how about all the experience you got in those 10 dates? You learned
Yes.
about yourself. You met some interesting people. You had some second and third dates. Like, that's failure. That's the opposite of failure.
That's what it's all about.
Learning as you go. I think there's so much there is to learn to how to communicate with people. In this day and age, people don't know how to do that very well.
Mhm.
Just have a conversation. And so by going on this 10 dates, I think that's just so helpful in so many ways for both of you to learn how to talk, how to realize
Yeah.
what you like, what you don't like, and you learn so much. So you're right. It's not a failure at all.
And 10
No.
is a manageable number.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah,
not
and
too many and
it's
it's not too
expensive to me.
few.
I put in a lot of work to get you those 10 dates. So like,
Yeah.
come on.
So go and enjoy them. And right,
Mhm.
you're right. You met some really fun. All right. So I came across another thing that's related to this that I have to ask you about, and it's the chicken nugget theory.
Oh,
I
that sounds
I
delicious.
love
I like
love this.
chicken
I could go for some
nuggets.
chicken nuggets
It
right
doesn't
now.
have as much traction as NATO.
Oh, but it's got to. We got to talk about it now so it gets more traction.
Okay.
Okay, we start with the microwave. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. You pick up chicken nuggets at Trader Joe's or whatever your supermarket is,
Mhm.
and you're really hungry. And you know that if you put those chicken nuggets in the oven, they're going to be crispy and delicious. But you might need to bake them for 25 minutes for them to get to full crisp.
Mhm.
Or you could put them in the microwave for 2 minutes and they will still be functional chicken nuggets.
Yes.
And you will be full technically, but will you be satisfied? And it's the same thing with dating. People try to fast forward the early stages by asking all of these, in my opinion, premature questions to try to get
Yes.
to the meat of it, to try to basically microwave a relationship. But
Mm.
there are things you just can't learn unless you take the time. So I get questions all the time from people, like, what are questions I can ask to make sure somebody's emotionally available? I don't know. who's going to say no if you ask, are you emotional? And who's going to be like, no, I'm not. You learn over time. I mean, you see behaviors over time. Does this person respect you? Does this person put in as much as you are? Does this person, like, are they reliable? Do they seem to have enough time to dedicate? Those are things that you'll learn, but you can't just by asking a simple question or microwaving a chicken
Mm.
nugget.
So don't
Oh.
microwave your relationship.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
So
remember
No.
that. That's sage advice.
Yeah, it very.
what are the go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the last thing you want is to get to that. Everyone wants that comfortable stage where they're sitting and watching Netflix on the couch. But I can't imagine anything worse than speeding everything up and choosing the wrong person to be doing that with.
Right.
Very true.
Which
Ooh.
happens way too much
Well, it
in
does.
our world today.
It really does. And I think sometimes people put too heavy of a weight on, like, someone has a matching timeline versus someone has a matching, I don't know, personality, values, whatever you want to say. Like, well, this person also wants kids within 2 years, so we're perfect. Oh my God.
Oh, that's funny. What are the kind of questions that people like are asking to speed up their relationship?
Oh gosh. I mean, they're asking about kids on a first date. They're asking,
Oh, good.
people are trying to discern. I mean, far too many people are asking about exes on first dates,
Yeah.
trying to
Wow.
discern all of these things about someone to, well, give me all the red flags now so I can get out fast.
And jump ship quick.
Mhm.
I tell clients, like, if somebody asks you about an ex at a first date, I mean, a good way to get out of that is, I mean, one, you could just say, I'm happy to share more once we get to know each other better. That's the
Mhm.
more serious
Straightforward.
answer. Yeah. Or you could say, I'm really enjoying my time with you. I don't really want to invite my ex on this date.
Oh.
There's a
Mic
reason.
drop.
There's a reason I call him my ex.
Oh, it's like you're inviting somebody else on your first date. Or
Yeah.
I remember many, many years ago, someone was badgering me on a date, like, tell me about when your last relationship, blah, blah, blah. And I used all of my own, lines, and he just wouldn't stop. And I said, you know what? I went to therapy to, like, work through that. The last thing I want is to talk about it to somebody I just met.
Right. And I don't want to have to pay you for the therapy.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry that happened to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it happens a lot. And it's like, usually people can read the room if you give them an answer, answering them, but deflecting the question a little bit. But
Right.
some people,
I also wanted to ask you about this, and you talk a lot, and I read a lot on your Instagram page about being your true self. And one of the quotes that you said is, "No one is allowed to determine your value except you."
True.
And I just love that quote, and I'm going to use it as my own, by the way. So
Mhm.
I will cite you. I will cite you every time I use it. But how important is it for people to realize that you have to be your true self? That's really what's important when you go out and you start dating.
Yeah, I mean, dating, I understand. Obviously, it can get discouraging, especially if you feel like you're getting rejected or you like someone and they don't like you. But we have to remember that happens both ways. And to take it as a personal affront, um, well, I just don't recommend that because that means that that person has determined your value, right?
Right.
Plenty of people don't like people for, I mean, I used to um, I, I used to do some acting on the side. And if I didn't get a job, I would just say, well, they just didn't like my hair because you can't control what other people like and don't like sometimes, but you can't take that as I must not be this, or I must not be that, or how come I'm only attracting, I get a lot of people asking, like, why am I attracting this type of person? It's not, it's just that people are attracted to you. And that, that is what it is. So you kind of, I don't know, I'm not being as eloquent as I could be, but you kind of just have to own who you are and know that some people like it and some don't.
Mhm.
Right.
We see a lot of that too, but we hear people manifest it in this way. They say, "What's wrong with me?"
Yes, what's
And
wrong
and,
with me?
and, and,
Right.
and so I think that in some ways that's good because then when you hear that you can correct them, because at
Sure.
least they're asking the question. But if the fact that someone isn't asking you out or you haven't found the person, it's really important to come to the realization that it's not something wrong with you. And I
Absolutely.
think that's what you're trying to say here is that people need to realize that they make themselves happy. And you can't depend on another person to gauge your happiness. You have to find a way to make yourself happy.
Yeah, and no one should be responsible for that. I remember
Right.
once I had a client, he was driving me crazy. I was like, I just asked him, normal, like, what are your hobbies? And he's like, none. And I said, what do you do in the evening on the weekend? Oh, you know, it was nothing. There was nothing.
Right.
And I said, well, what are you going to talk about on a date? And he's like, well, we'll find things. And I said, well, what are you going to do? He's like, well, I'll get hobbies once I meet someone.
What?
I'll find their hobbies and adopt them. Yeah.
That's how it works. Like,
No.
someone can't carry you. Like,
You gotta be your own person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's funny because we talked to one dating coach, and she told us that when she was dating, she would look at someone's app and then go change her app to fit that person's likes.
Mhm.
So, and
Oh.
then she goes, she
I hate
thought to
that.
herself, this is not the really smart thing to be doing.
It's a
well,
long
that's
walk on a
the
short
thing.
pier is what
Well, yeah.
insinuates.
And a lot of people say, like, how do I write a profile to attract the person I'm looking for? And I say you don't, because we don't know what the person you're looking for is looking for.
Mhm.
Right.
So, it happens more with women where they say, well, I want to write a profile that attracts, if they're looking for someone of the opposite sex, that attracts a man who goes to the theater and blah, blah, blah. So I better list all of these things. But that guy who goes to the theater may want a woman who doesn't do that stuff, that has
Mhm.
variety in his life. So
Right.
you can't game it like
That's right.
That's fair. And
So true.
you are a specialist in the online dating world and writing profiles, as you've told us, because you trialed the narrative for years and years and years.
that.
So what would you say like are yeses and nos or like tips and tricks for writing a profile?
Keep it positive. You see so many profiles that are just so negative, and it's like,
That
don't
is so
write to me.
true. That is
Like
so
that way.
unattractive. That
It's
is,
so unattractive.
yeah.
Like, you can turn anything you don't want into something you do want. Write words. I mean, how many empty Bumble profiles do we see?
Oh,
Too many.
right.
And I always think to myself, and I'm sure other people do, as I'm searching for clients, like, are you relying on your looks? Is that the only thing we should be paying attention to? Because you've written no word.
Is that the only thing you have?
Like, are you that
Right.
self-centered?
Or lazy or careless. I don't know. I would just find a few things that are you. So whatever those things are, maybe it's a few places you've lived, maybe it's a few hobbies you have. I always like on Hinge, I really like the simple pleasures prompt where I go crazy for, because you could put a list of things that you enjoy. So I'm going to put you all on the spot and have you name 2 things that are your simple pleasures that you think are nobody else's around the table. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh,
No one
yeah.
else is around
Oh,
the
I've
Yeah,
got
table.
so
one.
I'll start. So
Okay,
you're not
yes,
on the
go ahead.
list. Simple pleasures for me: Broadway musicals and making a pun in conversation.
Oh,
Making a
a
pun.
pun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
right, she's
Now,
witty.
I heard a
Okay.
I have to tell you one thing really quick. I heard a comedian just the other day say something about puns, and he said all puns are like children; they're all terrible unless you make them. So there you go.
It's just-
Oh,
That's
my
a good-
that's a
goodness.
good pun,
Yeah,
Tom.
Nice fun
yeah,
joke.
that's
Okay,
good, that's
Sophie,
good.
go
That's
ahead.
Pretty good.
awesome. Okay, 2 things.
2 things that are you.
I'm a really big nerd about Lord of the Rings. I
Yes.
love Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And I like putting hot sauce on everything, especially my popcorn.
Oh my
What?
gosh, I
Whoa.
love that.
Yep.
Mm.
I know.
Wow.
Everyone should try it. I guess then I
will.
won't be unique anymore, but yeah, it's
Oh,
good.
you're so pretty.
Does that
It's
make
so
your
good. It's so good. So if you put that in your profile, you would be more interesting than most people.
Very
Um,
Thank
okay,
you.
Mason.
I would say that I am a Just Dance fanatic. I love playing Just Dance.
Uh-huh.
And I also am a big fan of playing volleyball.
I love it.
Mm.
Okay.
interesting.
Great, Tom.
Okay, me, I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Be proud. That's
I'm
awesome.
very proud, and I also love going to a baseball game and sitting and talking to the person I go with.
Perfect.
Okay.
Last but not least, Bob.
I'm a yoga aficionado. I do
right.
yoga about 5 times a week, and this morning I held a handstand for about 10 seconds.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm impressed with myself on that. And I have not eaten pizza in more than 7 years.
Wow.
What?
Wow, we're
Wow.
sorry.
Why?
And I'm sorry to hear that.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's
We need to have an
I,
intervention.
I'm carb free, so I don't eat.
You don't eat any carbs ever?
No.
Yeah.
ever.
Well, rarely. There's a few that you have to throw in
All right.
for the most
All
part.
right, Erica, what do you do with all
That
this?
was amazing. And so if each of us wrote those 2 things in our profile, we have now not only have we set ourselves apart, everyone had different answers, but 2, we've planted a lot of what I call message bait to make it really easy for someone to write to us or to write back to us. So I could ask a question about volleyball. I could ask, how hot is the hot sauce? I could ask, do you like to do hot yoga or regular? I could ask who
Hot.
your baseball team is.
Mm.
And so now we've started a conversation.
I love
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
You know, and it's really true, Sophie. For example, just using you, if you put that in your profile, a boy that was interested in you could say, "Hey, I'd really like to try that sometime,"
And they have.
and they have. Wow.
It's been a little while, but yeah, that was
I
like
love that.
one of my favorite ones because I hate when people, I mean, it's not their fault, but it just wasn't my favorite when things are empty and you just are supposed to like comment on their picture. Like that's not fun to have someone be like, "You look great in that picture," and you're like, "Wow, thanks. I love it when you comment on how I look." Like I don't even know you. That's so, like it's not their fault when that's all you give them. So yeah, I
Right.
agree. I love what you're saying about that. That
So
was
you
awesome.
put that in your profile, the hot sauce.
I
thing.
did.
You did.
I did, and yeah, it was.
Very cool.
Probably got a lot of attention.
Well, yeah, I don't know what a lot comparatively, but yeah, I definitely got like responses that I liked better than
They
like,
wanted to get jalapeno business.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah. She is funny. Yeah.
that is good.
That's
wow.
awesome.
She told us that was one of her things.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did. That was awesome.
Okay, Erica, we're talking about this. Again, on your Instagram, I'm a junkie for her Instagram right now.
Love
so,
it.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, you need to go look at it. It's
so-
hilarious. There's some great, awesome stuff on there.
So this is one of the things she was talking about, things you shouldn't do in your profiles. And you said a couple of these that are really funny. You said, well, first of all, you said leave friends out of your picture.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Mhm.
what? Because they don't want to have to do a Where's Waldo to try to find you.
No, literally, I swear, you're like, wait, who is it on? Who is it?
Yeah.
Not only that, but inevitably, your friend is also cute.
Yeah, so true.
So
Yeah,
true.
does not help
They're
your chances.
cuter than you.
Or just have friends that are not as cute as you are, and
No,
then it
no.
could work in your advantage.
So here's one that the young ladies here are going to love, because I've heard them talk about this before. It says, for men, no shirtless selfies.
Please
Seems-
no.
It seems
Please.
intuitive, but
Save
I
yourself.
guess not.
You would think, but I feel like it just tells me the kind of man you are if you're throwing that picture in
So
there.
you're seeing a lot of that? Is that going on? Is that a thing?
Oh, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
sure it goes
Word.
both ways. I just
shirtless
haven't
pickup
seen-
girls, huh?
I'm sure there's lots of bikini pics out there, but I haven't seen them because that's just not what what I was looking for when I was
Mhm.
like on dating apps.
That's
but
fair. That's fair.
but
Yeah,
yeah, so I don't
here's
want
what
to
I'll
throw
say.
shade, but it
I
is
mean,
frustrating.
It's gross. And men's rationale, and I wish I didn't understand man brain so well. But I do. I have to. Men's rationale is, well, I hear women want to fit guys, so I better show that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
they're-
we want to see that you're fit if that's what we're looking for. First of all, in clothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Should be
Right.
a surprise if we get to see your chest. Like that should be a reveal. I have had clients wear bikinis and stuff in their profiles, and I also steer them away from that because I don't want the focus to be on her body. I want it to be on what she's written. And
Right.
again, I don't want to give everyone access to that right.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to work for it.
Got to hold something back. here.
Yeah. So-
Men, you got to hold something back, fellas.
I don't want
okay.
that to be the selling.
All right. So here's
Yeah.
a couple other ones that she said.
Okay.
Erica, you said no bathroom selfies. Is
Oh.
this a thing? Really?
Yes.
To me, yes, urinals were not sexy.
Well,
Literally. Oh my.
so by bathroom you mean the mirror, a selfie in the
Yes.
mirror of
Yeah.
the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Okay.
a dirty
Dirty
bathroom mirror.
Post gym workout or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
With like a
Filthy.
Snapchat filter or something.
Yeah,
on
with a
there, and
Snapchat
you're
filter.
like,
oh, the
gosh.
Snapchat filter.
I just am in shock. I
Oh.
am in shock that there
Shock
that
and
there are
awe.
young men and men out there that would do
Well,
this.
and women too. This isn't.
Well,
this is both men and women.
That's young.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's not reassuring, but
And you
okay.
Okay, so if it's a choice between taking your shirt off or being in the bathroom, I say you go with the shirtless.
Well, usually it's both. I hate to break it to them.
Okay, so men, don't take a camera with you in the bathroom. Whatever you do,
yeah.
keep that camera
Oh,
out of the
Please.
bathroom.
yeah, double whammy.
Who knew that you need to
Now,
give that advice in dating? Keep the camera out of the bathroom.
now, another thing that you said as far as your photos, you said you don't be generic. What do you mean by that?
I probably meant that about the profile.
Okay.
So, a lot of people say boring stuff in the profile. I like to go out and stay in. Okay, those are I like to dress up and dress down. My family is important to me. I like to travel. I like to work hard, play hard. Let's see what else.
So you're
Like
meaning words that have
cringing.
no meaning to them, that don't
Words that
create
have
any
no
image,
meaning.
right?
Well, it's a
That
message bait.
apply
There's
to
no message bait
anybody.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no message bait. I also steer away from what I call empty adjectives, which are like, I'm funny, smart, attractive, I'm spontaneous, honest, blah, blah. They're all subjective, so they don't mean anything. Like, let someone
Right.
decide for themselves if you're funny or smart or attractive or spontaneous. Show, don't tell.
Right.
Yeah.
like
So
that.
add a little hot sauce to your description.
Yes.
There.
Always. And your
Key
popcorn,
takeaway.
in my
Any
opinion.
other big pieces of advice on the profile that you can offer the young people out there?
Yeah, check your spelling, grammar.
Ooh.
A lot of people will bypass you if you have a careless error. Have a friend proofread it for you.
Oh,
I mean,
good idea.
God, I had a typo in my post yesterday, and the number of people I got it. I had a typo. Like get someone to proofread it for you, because you don't want to miss out on an opportunity because you accidentally, added an extra E. Something.
It's so funny that you say that, because I have a advertising TikTok, and I'll put something up and I'll put a heading on it and I'll misspell something, and that's
Mhm.
immediately what people start talking about.
It
It's like,
really
okay,
is.
Especially the yours and the theirs.
Yeah.
Yes,
feel
yours,
like-
I mean, that's not just
yeah.
a typo. That's maybe indicative. Who knows?
No,
But anyway,
it seems like it, and I hate to say it, but it really does. It's
Mhm.
it hurts sometimes
Yeah.
to see that. So.
so just give it the once over. Show it to a friend. Show it to somebody.
good advice.
Mhm.
Okay, how about you said always set up a date in the app with the time, the date, and the location.
Yeah.
And then end it with, it's a date.
Correct.
Tell me about that.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Okay. People are flakes. I want to try to avoid flaky behavior as much as humanly possible. So that's why I recommend, this is not universal. You ask a different dating coach, they'll have different advice. That's fine. I just don't agree with it. I recommend scheduling the entire date within the app itself. So let's say you're on Hinge, talking to someone, and they say, here, just text me. It'll be easier. I don't check notifications, blah, blah. No, it's not easier at all. I would arrange time, date, location, all within the app. And then once it's set, you say it's a date. It's not a hangout, not a
I love it.
coffee meeting, but date. That's what we're here for. And then, if you feel comfortable, one day before the date, say, looking forward to seeing you. In case you need to reach me tomorrow, my number is play. What's yours? That way, if for contingencies 5 minutes before somebody doesn't check the app and someone's running late, they can have your
Right.
number. That's if you feel comfortable. But I find a huge drop off, anecdotally, not statistically significant. There's a 60% drop off in the dates that are scheduled. Basically, if you exchange phone numbers before the time, date, and location is set, 60% chance you're not going on that date anymore.
Ah.
Wow.
Because
Mm.
It's too
someone drops
easy.
the ball, someone
Yeah.
doesn't text, someone just texts ridiculous things, someone just starts with the good mornings, good nights, how are you? Too much room for error.
Yes.
That is
Interesting. That is so interesting. I never
super
would have
interesting.
thought of that.
It's a date.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's just-
simple, and it's so confirming. It's just,
Mhm.
it's there.
It's not a question, it's a period at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or exclamation point.
True,
Mhm.
true, true.
Ooh.
And I have a lot of young women tell me all the time is that I don't know if it was a date.
Mhm.
Yeah, I use the
I
word
did
date.
this or did that, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it was a date, but this makes sure that they know that, hey, we're going on a date.
Now, do you find with your clients that some people are afraid to call it a date?
Yes.
Do they think, wow, this sounds too serious if I call it a date?
Yes, I think that's ridiculous. The date.
And why do you think they do that?
Because it's, again, back to that first thing. It's all this pressure that a date
Mm.
means something. It's
Right.
just meeting a new person. So I do find my younger clients, what is younger? Who knows anymore? Who kind of shy away from that language, but I still recommend using the word date. And
Hmm.
if you're not sure, if someone asks, I get the question all the time. If this person asks me out for coffee, is it a date? I don't know. if it's a date. So I would just have you ask, do you mean on a date? Like as a date?
Yeah.
Good question.
Interesting. Meaning, are you interested in getting to know me? Or
No,
maybe-
meaning, is there a romantic connotation to this?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Mhm.
Versus like, this is just some friends
Networking,
hanging out,
friendship.
networking. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. Set the
Mhm.
boundaries, kind of figure out
No,
what's going on
well,
before
It's
you.
just, you might dress differently. I don't know.
No,
That's
that's
true.
so
You
true.
probably
That's
put your
true.
shirt on.
Yeah. There's a big difference between a hanging out and a date,
Yeah.
right?
I would hope the
So-
hangout would also have your shirt on.
Yeah,
But
well, you just don't know, you know.
Hang out.
oh my gosh.
So how does the confident confirmer come into this?
Oh yeah.
Because I loved when you
So-
talked about that too.
The day before a date, I recommend saying, "Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 7 or whatever." Versus, "Are we still on?" The "Are we still on?" is so weak and
Oh, and it
basically
opens
saying,
it
"I
up.
expect you to cancel on me."
Right. Mhm.
Whereas "Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow" is, "I assume we're on unless told otherwise."
Right.
And I get a lot of backlash with this advice and but it's like, well, so many people flake, so I want to make sure they're still on. I actually find that the people who are the most scared of someone flaking, ghosting, not showing up are the ones who actually flake, ghost, and don't show up the most because they're so scared that they're asking for a million confirmations and turning off.
Oh, okay. I see
Oh.
where you're coming from. So you're
Yeah.
saying like just be affirmative about it, and then
Yes.
when they send that text, do they have a higher percentage of them going on the date?
Yes.
Okay. And I feel like because you're a numbers gal, I feel like you have a number for me. Maybe you.
Oh, I don't. Just to put them your date.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, 75% of the time they get a date again.
I mean, I write plans in stone. If I make plans with a friend 3 months from now and we don't confirm, I'll still be there. But I realize not many people are like
That's
that. So
true.
it's important to have a confirmation.
That's so smart because I hear a lot of people talk about how, well, I set a date up and he didn't respond or I haven't heard from him, so I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not. Should I go? What should I do? But I think what you're talking about changes everything. Set the date, the time, where we're going to be, and then say it's a date. And then when you get closer to it, you confirm it. And
Correct.
it leaves all the ambiguity out of it.
And this is
That's
for boys and girls. Like the boys set it up.
Everybody,
Okay.
anybody. Like the frustration is, like Tom just said, oh, I didn't hear. Are we still? Just ask. Be protective of your.
Yeah. That is so smart. Be protective of yourself and your time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's really smart.
Great
Great.
advice.
I know. I was like, I should have brought my
she's
notebook.
gonna-
See, I told you guys would love her Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
This
just
is
stealing everything off
awesome.
her Instagram here.
That's totally fine.
Okay, so now I have a couple of other things that you talked about that I really want to know the answer to. And it says that one of the things you said is if there's no romantic connection, he offers to pay. What do you recommend the woman does? I'm not feeling it, but he's offering to pay. Do I
would
let
allow
him pay?
to
And then am I feeling guilty because he's paying?
I would allow him to pay and feel zero guilt as long as you give a genuine thank you.
There you go.
I don't believe payment is contingent on how the date goes.
I would agree. I
There
would
you
agree with
go.
that one.
There's an expert that says we get asked that question
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
So true.
I know times are changing, but generally in opposite sex relationships, I generally recommend the guy pay.
Yeah.
Love it.
At least on the first date, not all the time.
I feel like I haven't heard many people honestly say that you should split it. I feel like that's
Well, we see that a lot in the movies and in things like that, where sometimes it's portrayed that women are offended that the man doesn't think they can pay, and so I think we see that a lot in Hallmark movies.
Wait, whoa.
Oh, no, not in Hallmark. We don't see that. We see that everywhere except in Hallmark movies. And so I think that's kind of one of the media misconceptions that we see is that you'll offend a woman if you offer to pay for the meal.
I think you're right. It's in the media.
Everyone wants something different these days. For every woman who wants chivalry, there's another who's like, I am woman, hear me roar. Nobody can win anymore.
Right.
So
great.
true.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and it leaves men very confused because they're afraid to make a
Extremely
faux pas.
confused.
Yeah.
Extremely confused.
And
how do
so
I-
if you're going to err on the side of paying for the meal.
I completely agree.
Well, how do we negotiate that, Erica? I mean, the men
You
are
just say I'm going to
confused.
pay, and then
Well,
if they're
not just
upset-
about paying, but
Oh.
about how do men deal with the confusion
Then
that's out there?
ask what somebody likes.
Oh.
So,
So you mean just be
well-
honest and upfront? Wow, that's
right? Can you
that's
imagine?
unique.
You can ask, do you like when I pay? Do you like when I had someone once a long time ago asked me, "Do you like when I open the car door for you?" And I said, "I love it. Who wouldn't?" And he said, "My last girlfriend did."
Yeah,
it."
you'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so it was an open conversation, and it was so helpful to just align things. I don't know why more people don't do that.
I don't know either, but I think they should start
What
right
do you
now.
think, ladies? Do you
From
think
this
you
day
can do that?
forward.
Because, I mean, I don't know if you saw what I posted yesterday, but it was about the walking to the car thing. I don't know if you saw that, but I think sometimes women think men can read minds. They can't.
They can't. Yeah.
We do think that.
So,
Sometimes, yeah, guilty
Or you
as
think they
charged.
I'm
should.
like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you this through my
Yeah.
My eyes?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Actually, I'm telling you this, but I thought you knew.
If you don't know what I want, I'm not going to tell you.
no, hints do not work in general. If you want something, say nicely that that's what you want. You're not going to be upset if someone does something because you've told them to do it. You'll be happy that they listened, did it.
And
Wow.
we're a little dim.
Well,
We're,
I
we're
know,
not real
Emery.
complex. We're
Yeah.
not real complex beings, just so you ladies know. So you really do need to be a little more upfront with this. What do you think about having this conversation about what is appropriate, what not appropriate in terms of manners or chivalry? Are you okay with a guy asking those things?
I'd be fine if you asked me those things.
Yeah.
I think it would have to come after maybe the first. I don't think initially you should ask. I would be like, okay.
I think, like, generally, I think a lot of people have, like, concerns if they're super opinionated that someone else is going to be super opinionated. And I feel like if you're not, if someone else is super opinionated in the opposite direction, like if on a first date you pay and they get super upset and you're upset because you wanted to pay, then you're probably not going to work out anyway.
Oh,
So,
Probably not going to be a second
like,
date.
don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
Yeah, so
like,
true.
if someone's going to be offended, then, like, I wouldn't want to hang out with them. Or if they have a super strong opinion that you agree with, then hopefully it just works out and you don't pay
Right.
for them and they love it. So,
I-
great.
That was great
That's-
advice, Sophie. That
That's,
was great.
that's a
Thank you.
win-win.
I was
They-
worried.
They don't want to pay. I mean, they want to pay, and you want them to pay. That's a double bonus right
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
so-
date
Yeah.
that girl. Go
Yeah.
on a second date with that girl.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got to talk about this post. And on this one, there was just this really lively discussion with a lot of people, Erica. And this is what the post was about. It says, what do you do if a guy kisses you on the first date and said he wants to go on a second date and then doesn't text for 3 days?
I remember that one.
And there was a
I've
lot
never
of
heard of
people
that.
discussing this. So what do we think about this?
So he was like, I have experience with
Yeah.
that.
No,
May
I
or
have
may
heard
not.
about it a lot, though.
So he kisses
unfortunately.
you and says, hey, let's go on, make sure we go on a second date. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from him.
But you do 3 days later.
Yeah. And then he's like, hey, how's the weather over there?
Well, we did an
Gosh.
entire podcast on this, and it's called The Great Kissing Debate. And Dr. Robinson here thinks that kissing means nothing. And so
Oh,
if kissing
whoa,
means
whoa,
nothing,
whoa,
then there's no reason.
Let's get her
He took
input
that
first before
extreme.
we
There's-
bias her.
Okay. Obviously, if you like someone, you want them to contact you immediately. First of all, you have fingers too, and if you had a good time, you can always send a thing. I recommend.
Oh, so
Which-
true.
I believe in this post, the woman did not. Second, it was over a holiday weekend. I remember this post. And so we don't know what this person was up to. Third, it's not like he didn't reach out. He did after 3 days. Is 3 days too long? Yeah, I would advise doing it sooner. But is it too long in the scheme of life? No.
No.
I believe he was warming up the conversation on day 3. How's your weekend? Blah, blah.
Yes, she
To
did.
ease into asking her out again. This clearly made her upset. And I think she was lashing out for no reason.
Okay, so you think that the guy was in the right here?
Yeah,
Okay,
3
okay.
days, yeah.
You're right.
Would I have advised him to reach out sooner than 3 days? Yes, I would.
If he was
but-
your client, you would have been mad at him.
I
If he-
would not have been happy with him. That's
Yeah.
But if she were my client, I would tell her exactly what I just told you, which is
Mhm.
it's not ideal, but it was only one date. He did reach out like he said he would. And he's just warming up the conversation again to
Mm.
sort of like get your buy-in to the conversation before asking you out.
So the key to success here is for both of these individuals to hire you.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess so.
I
Yeah.
guess so. That's what this
Yeah.
comes down to, doesn't
Or
it?
listen
True.
to the podcast.
Mhm.
Or
If
listen
you-
to the podcast.
Yeah.
if you want
Or both.
happiness in life, then just, get a nudge.
So
Oh,
true.
sure. But I will say with the kissing, and I have no idea what you talked about on your other episode. I
You'll
can't
have to
say-
listen to it. It was
I
the
will.
great kissing debate.
I can't say kissing means nothing, but I will say people put a lot of value on kissing, whereas sometimes people just do it because they don't know what else to do to end a date, or they want to see if there's chemistry, if they kiss.
Mm-hmm.
See, she agrees with me.
Well, I think she agrees with both
Probably.
of you because there's just a huge range. Like I think, well, correct me please if I'm wrong. But like there's a huge range of values people put on it. So you shouldn't determine how someone feels based on whether or not they kiss you because kisses mean very different
Right.
things to different people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man,
true.
that's very true. That is
Mhm.
very true.
I agree with that.
So-
Okay.
Wow, very wise.
I have
Good
I
way
have a
to exit
question
us
for
from
you.
this
Very
discussion.
wise.
There you go.
Yes.
So you have looked at your profile. It's literally hilarious. And I saw that you were talking about the How Are You cleanse.
Oh,
This is something that I think needs to be talked about because I was like, oh, that is so relevant. So I would love to hear what you have to say.
it is. By the way, I originally in my mind called it the How Are You diet, and I didn't know if diet was PC anymore, so I called it.
That's hilarious.
I don't know who could keep up. Yeah, no, it's so frustrating, especially if you've planted. You talked about hot sauce on popcorn, and there was all that good stuff in there, and someone instead of latching onto your message bait says, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, how are you? How's your day?"
Oof.
It's the most boring opening. It's so lazy.
So
It's
boring.
better than nothing, I suppose. But I want to get most people to be, however many people I can reach, out of the habit of doing.
Please.
And so
Mhm.
all you have to do is find something in the profile. Now, I understand why people are lazy because maybe they used to write all these cute messages and didn't get responsive. But
Right.
going the lazy route is not going to help matters.
So true. The amount of just hey, that one hurts me
Ugh.
like physically.
Mm.
It's so painful.
So painful. I
You're like, what do
agree.
you say? Hey? Like, oh yeah, that was fun. Like,
I mean, you
oh my
know that
gosh.
conversation is going nowhere.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What
thank
about
you.
like if you've been talking to somebody for a little bit and they ask you, "Hey, how are you? How are you
Before
doing?
you've
How
gone
was
on
your
a date?
day?" Yeah, after a date.
So this is a
Oh.
someone that you have somewhat of a relationship with.
Yes.
Oh. So, I mean, then I would just actually answer the question. Maybe they're actually asking. It was.
Mm-hmm.
True. So you think that in that scenario it's fine versus like initial.
No, I still think it's boring. Nobody can, I mean,
Yep, it's so
seriously.
true. So true.
I mean, everyone always talks about the same thing. They're tired, they worked, they're relaxing, they're doing laundry. That's it. Those are the only. So,
That was accurate. Yeah, that was
That was good. She knows her stuff.
She does.
Seen it all.
She really does know her stuff.
seriously, it's sometimes too much.
Oh my goodness.
I love
Okay,
that.
well I've
Mhm.
we all gotta have some better questions out there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's
All right, so the last thing, just if you could
Okay.
give us one piece of advice, if you could give these 18 to 30-year-old guys and girls just a piece of advice, what would it be about dating?
Everything in life is not all or nothing. Like, I know it seems tempting sometimes. You go on a bad date and you're like, I hate the dating apps. I'm deleting all of them. I think people make very rash choices, decisions. Everything is not all or nothing. You can do the dating apps, but also be out with your friends sometimes and also go out to meet people in person. Like, it doesn't have to be like full speed ahead on one thing or zero. It can be a little of this and a little of that. And then the other thing is like one person doesn't represent anything. Like one
Oh, yeah.
person, one bad date with a guy doesn't represent all guys. It doesn't represent a whole dating site. It doesn't represent your city. It's just a dud sometimes.
That's good.
That's so wise.
Yeah, it is.
Very good.
Such great advice today.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, Erika, this is amazing. Hey, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Tell us about your Instagram page, and
Sure.
if they want to get some dating advice or hire you, how could they do that?
or nudge.
Yeah. So, everything is under A Little Nudge. So, alittlenudge.com. Instagram is at A Little Nudge. And I have a link in my bio on Instagram. If you want to set up a little 40-minute coaching session with me, you can do that. Or you can sign up for a free consultation call, and I'll go through all the services I offer, and we'll see what's the right.
And guys, she can help you with your profiles, give you advice on your pictures, what you should say.
I'm very
always-
honest.
Yeah, and she's very
Yeah,
Yeah,
honest.
she's good. She's
And
giving some
she'll-
honest
she'll
answers
throw
today.
in
Oh my
some-
God. Last thing, I told a client today, I'm like, I don't know, it was the end of the day. I was tired, but he's 64 and he had this picture of him with a cigar and it was just not appealing.
Hmm.
And I could have been nicer. And I'm like, if you post this picture, you will turn off every woman and we'll have 0 dates.
That's
that's-
awesome.
He goes, it's good to have a thick skin. And I'm like, whatever. I just like, I had to say it.
Well,
rid of
it
the
sounds like
picture.
you saved him. At least it wasn't in the bathroom, hopefully. I'm assuming. Yeah.
With his shirt off.
Yeah.
With
There
a
you go.
shirt on, yeah.
All right. Well, Erica, thank you so much. This has been
Yes,
so much
so
fun.
fun.
This
You're
is
so fun.
This has
I
just
can
been a
see why
great
you've
time.
been so successful at this. You just have a
Oh,
really
that's nice
fun
of you. Thank
personality.
you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
guys, go check out her Instagram. I had so much fun going through it. I
Yeah.
am a huge fan now,
Thank
and there's
you.
so much great advice on there, and I really encourage all of you to look at it. I know the two young women here are going to go race to check it out.
Oh,
So
I've
true.
already been racing
And
through it.
and rewrite their profiles.
Rewrite that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob, for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. This
Macy,
has been great.
Thank you. And
course.
Sophia,
Yeah.
of course, thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Listen, you guys out there, you can check us out on Instagram too. We are at Dating Made Simple on Instagram and also on TikTok. Got some really fun stuff going on. I actually have convinced a couple of young women to go out and do some really funny stuff over the next couple
Funny
of weeks.
stuff.
Yeah, so they're going to have some fun.
So it's
collecting
just,
up some
that's
videos
kind of
for
a
us.
generic thing. They're going to do
I'm not
funny
gonna,
stuff.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to give anything away here.
Okay.
So,
Well, all right.
well, also make sure if you have any questions or you have your funny date stories, we have a bad date story episode coming up, you guys.
Oh,
So
good.
make sure you
Love
send
those.
those to us at the It's Just Dinner podcast at gmail.com. Well, thanks you again, Erica. You were awesome. And listen, you guys out there, just go have fun out there, will you?